evening. This is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I welcome you to the 2 a.m. net. The purpose of this net is to promote the use of amplitude modulation and also to establish this part of this band as a place for AM activity in this area. Everyone is invited to listen. Licensed amateurs who can do so legally are encouraged to check in. We listen in the AM mode and transmit in the AM mode where possible. If you cannot transmit in AM, we encourage you to listen in AM, and transmit in FM. If you are transmitting in FM, please adjust your transmit frequency a couple kcs above or below from our received frequency. This facilitates the use of slope detection. That is, demodulating your FM signal with our AM receivers. Hello, Joe, please stand by. When checking in, please announce your call sign in standard phonetics. Again, this is KC9UDX. My name is Matt, and I will now begin accepting check-ins. Any stations wishing to check in, please come now.
Good evening, Matt. W9JCC.
Hello and welcome, Frank. Recognizing W9JCC, do we have anybody else?
Whiskey Bravo 9. Bravo, Whiskey Papa.
And there we have Dave. Recognizing Dave, WB9BWP. Hello, Dave. And do we have anybody else?
Kilowatt 9, Foxtrot Indian, Jerry. I'm trying to get you on simulcast so I can hear Dave. Back to you, Matt.
All right, and there we have Jerry. Welcome, Jerry, K9FI. Do we have anybody else?
Back control. This is November 9, Foxtrot, Sierra, Echo.
And there we have Steve. Welcome, Steve, N9FSE. Anybody else? All right, hearing none, I'll also recognize Joe, YouTube user Bratwurst, who is here on the phone. And before I go to the top of the list, I'm going to give a little update here. It's been a long couple of months here for me. Lots of things going on at work. I'm going to just tell a little story. I've been back and forth to between first shift and third shift rapidly twice during this time. And October 1st, I got like a 17% raise, which is kind of breathtaking, I guess. And I've been working a lot of strange overtime. Yesterday, I did what we call a death march, which means that I worked from 10 o'clock p.m. to 11 o'clock a.m. yesterday, and then the night before anyway, and then today, I guess, I worked last night from 6 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m., and I have had very little sleep. I know you guys probably get tired of hearing me say how I'm barely awake and barely, well, I can't think of the word here, but I am less awake than ever tonight, so if I am stumbling on my words, there's why. And also, seasonal allergies are taking their toll on me. I've got a really nasty cough, and I once in a while have sneezing fits. Don't worry, I do not have COVID, so you don't need to wear a mask to be on the net here. But just to warn you guys that it may happen, excuse me, like this, where I'm coughing at random and can't speak. So hopefully that goes well. And one more thing I'd like to say is I am also, besides YouTube, now on LBRY. LBRY is a streaming or a video service, kind of like YouTube, only it's very different. My YouTube videos are, for the most part, on LBRY now. They get sent there automatically. And I don't know if tonight's net video will make it automatically, because they have a policy not to allow videos that are longer than 1 hour or a bit larger than a certain size. I don't think we'll go over an hour, because I did start it at the last minute here, but it may go over on the size. I have no idea. So if you're adventurous, look for me on LBRY, and they also have a user interface called Odysee. This is very strange to me. I have not even checked out Odysee, but they have a parallel website called Odysee. It's Odyssee, and everything that's on LBRY is also on Odysee. So, or at least I've been told. I have not had an opportunity to even look. And with that, we'll go to the top of the list. Frank, W9JCC from KC9UDX.
Okay, thank you, Matt. KC9UDX and the 2AM net, W9JCC. And good to hear everybody tonight. Congratulations on the rate. 17% is a pretty neat raise, pretty hefty. So you probably deserve it there, Matt, with all the work you've been doing. And okay, on the allergies, I have not been challenged with the allergies this season. I've been taking Flonase, actually only half a dose of Flonase that they recommend, just to kind of keep the allergies at bay. And it's been working so far. Of course, we haven't been going too many places either, so that probably helps too. I had one a big accomplishment here this last week. We had purchased a new vehicle a month or so ago, and the interior lighting on that thing was just unbelievable. I'd turn on the map lights, and I really couldn't see much more than I could with a map. And so I was using a flashlight in there, so I got these LEDs to replace all the interior lights, which were reasonably priced, and it came with one simple tool, but each light was a challenge in itself to figure out how to get the light out, because the one that worried me the most was the map lights, because there was two of them. And one guy was able to get those off on YouTube with a special tool he had, but I couldn't find anybody that had it. So the other way to do it was just drop the whole center console from the ceiling there, and then they're real easy to get at from the back. And we did that. We got them all changed. Everything's, the car's in good shape and everything. But I was a little worried there for a little bit about damaging something. But after looking, I almost bought a set of tools to do that. Yeah, I didn't, but I still got them in my car. I might buy them anyway because they're pretty cheap, and boy, it would really be handy to have those when you have to do something like that, where you gotta work on the interior of an automobile, where everything is just popped together. They don't use screws anymore, and probably haven't for a long time. But it would have been a little easier. But when I pulled that center console down, I got my fingers up in there. I just pulled myself off the seat. The thing came crashing down, and nothing broke, and got it back together. Anyway, that's my story for today. Back to the control, WNJCC.
All right, thank you, Frank. And before I forget to say it, thank you for helping out in my absence last month. That really helps me out. And I can appreciate what you've done there. I've worked on the interiors of a lot of vehicles, and I guess I do like the fact that modern vehicles are put together so well on the inside. That's one thing that is actually really improved over old vehicles, is that dashes and consoles and things are very easy to take apart and very easy to put back together now. Like you said, they don't use screws anymore, which is very handy, but I always wonder, of course these new cars aren't designed to have any longevity anyway, but when one of those cars is 30 years old, none of that plastic, my concern anyways, none of that plastic is going to hold together anymore at all. There's enough problems with old vehicles with plastic dashes with screws holding them together. All of the areas where the screws are, the plastic is broken, and I just see that will be a problem in the future. But fine business on doing what you've done there. And with that, we'll go to Dave, WB9BWP from KC9UDX.
Okay.
often over here, and copy, of course, well, Frank is always good, and you're good, Matt, and Steve doesn't count there with him, he cheats. Jerry, I can hear some sounds, but yeah, the mountains are in the way between my house and Jerry's. But anyway, signals are a bit up tonight, and the background noise, just the noise on the band, is way down. There's been a few openings about 2 meters over the last couple of months. Last week there was, I think, a couple of days where I was hearing Illinois stations, FM direct, no repeater stuff. And last month or month before, somewhere in there, I was copying a number of beacons from around the state on 2. Let's see. I haven't been playing with antennas. I haven't been playing with cars. I've been playing with antennas in the last couple of weeks. And even today, even though it was windy and stuff, I wasn't outside. I was actually doing inside things. I am in the process of putting together a second telescopic mast with a homemade tilt-over base. I use these Roan 34-foot telescopic masts. They're UPS-able. They're only about, the sections vary between about 5 and 7 feet, as opposed to their, they've got a series of masts where all the sections are 10 feet. And I've got a couple of other ones that I've used here. In fact, this antenna that I'm talking on right now is on top of one of those masts. So anyway, I ordered one about a month ago, early September. HRO doesn't stock any of them, and the price is really high on it, so I buy it from another dealer. And you still have to pay a little extra for shipping. But anyway, so I get this thing, and the Roan telescopic masts have this like locking screw. It's like just a bent screw, an L-shaped screw, with a captive nut that you just give it a twist to hold it tight. When the mast is up, there's a slot in the bottom of each section that a big cotter pin goes through to hold it up. But anyway, these locking screws were cranked down so hard, I had to get the biggest pair of pliers that I had and really lean in it to loosen them up. And then I couldn't get the section apart. 3 people playing most of an afternoon, and I finally got it apart, or got it pulled out, extended, only to find, of course, that you couldn't put them back in. Where they cranked down the locking screws so hard they actually deformed all the tubes, and it was not like it should be. So I called the dealer and I told them the story, and they said, yeah, we've been having some problems with Roan stuff lately. We don't have any more in stock. We'll get the factory to send you one. You don't have to send Neil one back. Okay, great. So the factory direct one came last week, and that was cranked down even harder. And I worked most of Sunday and a little bit of yesterday, and I got 4 of the 5 sections apart. They will come out through the bottom. And the top 2, I had to take a sledgehammer to try to put the top section back in. Now, picture a telescopic mast, and you're standing on the roof to lift this thing up, and you can't possibly pull it apart. In fact, I actually stood it up with no locking hardware, and it stayed up. Anyway, I talked to them once again today, and I said, this isn't working. They said, we've gotten some more in stock. We'll test them, and if we find a good one, we'll send it to you. So So we'll see what happens with the third one. And they actually told me this time that they sent an entire load back to the factory a few months ago because they were all messed up. Anyway, there's my working story here for the last couple of weeks actually on that one. But anyway, the mount is ready to go. So progress has been made. This is WB9BWT, back to net.
All right, thank you, Dave. Excuse me. It sounds like, I hope not, but it sounds like they're making this stuff in China. I don't know if Roan has ever done that or if that's normal. Maybe it is. I don't even know, but that sounds like the kind of quality you get when things are made in China, and I just hope that's not the case. You mentioned that it was more expensive at HRO, and that's been my experience too. I have not done much shopping for ham radio gear since HRO bought AES, but back when I was buying things, that was one of the things I noticed is HRO is significantly more expensive than other places on certain items and significantly cheaper on some things than other places. And I guess that's a workable business model. If you can sell a handful of the overpriced things, you can pay for the discount on the cheaper ones and attract more customers, I guess. And I was going to comment something else on antenna masts. I've forgotten. So I apologize for that. But I will turn it over next to Jerry, K9FI. Jerry, did you ever get the stream going here? Go ahead from KC9UDX.
Okay, Matt. Yes, I did get it going. In fact, even on the stream, David's pretty light tonight. I'm probably going to learn how to turn the volume up on my laptop here, which is pretty light. And I was able to stop it with some difficulty. And even on the radio, of course, he's always like 2 meters. Like he said, he's on the other side of the mountain. That is a problem because my antenna is not that high above the hill that's between us. But as far as you got your stream going, I will try to look up that LBRY program one of these times that we're going to come on like next month and see if it's any better, see how it works. And it'd be nice to see how much difference there is. But anyhow, you need to get to you, and as far as getting there to get you, to listen to you. And as far as my activities, the only thing I've been doing is on my normal 80-meter nets during the day, and some of the 2-meter nets and the 440 nets and that kind of stuff. And otherwise, I've been trying to use some satellites. I haven't had a lot of luck with the ice install. I cannot seem to get them even when it's a good pass. I don't know what's going on. One day I was out there listening, and a guy was using the ISIS repeater, and he came in with a good signal, and that's all it was. So then I tried to get a couple of other ones, and I kind of got disheartened and kind of gave up on it. But we'll see what goes on tomorrow. If I get a little, if they got some good passes, I'll look for. I'm looking for AO 91 to 92 and AO 27 and SO 50. That's the ones I'm attracting besides ISIS. Try to get some of those guys, see how it works. It's kind of fun, but it was fun to hear that one fellow at one time. So other than that, that's about the extent of my great adventure. Besides, my wife mentioned to me that the grass is getting tall, so I guess I'll have to get out and do that. Because, of course, it is cooling off. We had some stuff lined up to go down tomorrow. I don't know if we can do that with my brother-in-law or not. And maybe I'll cut the grass and we'll go down to see him on Thursday. But anyhow, back to you to that K9FI.
All right, thank you, Jerry.
How to share your content.
And now my phone, I hope that's not coming in too loud here, but my phone is talking to me. First thing I'll say here is that I'm pretty sure that the live stream is not going out over LBRY in real time. I'm guessing it will show up there next day or within a couple of days. So you can look to see if it's being transmitted live over there, but I am pretty sure it's not. Unfortunately, I don't have a good way to even look at that while I'm running the net here. And I could probably at some point here stream directly to LBRY and maybe YouTube at the same time, but I'm still trying to figure out LBRY, and I don't really know how to stream there yet. Now, as far as the ISS, there is a YouTuber, M0YKS, and I've been following him quite a bit, and he's been having some interesting times trying to, and I believe successfully also, getting into the ISS repeater. So that may be something interesting to check out there. Again, his call is M0YKS, Mike 0 Yankee Kilo Sugar. And I wanted to comment before on what Dave was saying about signals, and everything looks very normal to me here. Dave, you are a very solid 6. I shouldn't say solid, it's fluctuating quite a bit, which I wonder if that's atmospheric. I think I noticed that the last time we were on the air here too. The signal fluctuates when you're not talking pretty wildly, but other than that it never drops below 6. It's always right there at 6. And Jerry, you're at 5, right where you normally are. When you first started transmitting, you were at 6, and I think that happens to you quite a bit. If I recall correctly, your signal once in a while starts out higher than normal, but then drops back down. But in any case, 5 is working for me here. And Dave hopefully will be able to hear you on YouTube anyway. And with that, we'll go to Steve, N9FSE. Steve, thank you so much for taking over as net control last month in my absence. But go ahead, Steve, from KC9UDX.
Thank you very much, Matt. And you got to give a lot of credit to Frank for getting things underway, because been out here quite a bit at the big stick, but been slow to getting things going in many weeks. And I've rectified some of this because I now have power supply and company club station radio out here permanently. So I got to put up a few more. A cable I can leave out here instead of grabbing one of them, and maybe a nice big speaker along with my headphones or something. That's the one thing I don't have today is my headphones, but as long as the vent fan is off, it's not so bad. I brought the speaker off my bench at the shop, which is a KS3. Oh shoot, I should know this. KS3 speaker, a little rectangular inlet speaker. And everybody sounds pretty good on that, so didn't do my usual get the biggest speaker in the house, but biggest speaker I had on hand at the time will have to do for this mission this week, this month. But at least we'll have this stuff available out here for mine and other folks' use when we get around here. So very good on that. I'm gonna work my way through the list, and I'm gonna start off with where I've been. I know Dean's probably been throwing the mention out there, but I this morning threw it out with the W9EFJ guys. They got Ray's got his new repeater up in Slinger area. And I invited all those guys. There's a lot of AM nuts up there, and so I told them to show up here. So make sure you give a nice good call after me to see if there's anybody else that needs to jump in there. Oh, I should have asked for a signal check too, but I think I'm running. Okay, I got a little monitor here. Make sure I'm on the air good. Everybody was coming in very well with the attenuator on. Jerry was kind of light, but right before he signed, he picked up. So I hope he doesn't have something blowing around on the antenna there, or something loose there. Yeah, so it's good to hear Jerry. Let me work backwards through that list then, I guess. So yeah, Jerry and then Dave, I got to get back to you on some stuff. I've been slow with all kinds of responses because I've been sick, and got a COVID test and found I did not have that, which is fine. And even my brother hasn't been hearing from me. I got to get back in touch with him too. And it ain't happening tonight with with me playing the net here. So I still should have some of those items available that you're interested in from that estate. If you're still interested, and I gotta look at the list again and see which ones you were looking at, and see what they did with that the the current draw, so I was helping troubleshoot that and finally had a decent shot meter instead of a clamp on that wasn't telling me everything I needed to know. I got some accurate numbers off the fancy fluke meter, so we sort of decided it was a sticking rear handle, and if that's sticking in the on position, there's a switch on there. It starts talking to the computers and the CAN bus, and it draws half an amp while everything looks like it's locked and secured, so that's no good. So I'm going to work on liberating that and seeing if they can get it either looped up or replaced, one or the other, on that fun project. But I don't have to work on so much of it. At least I did my part of troubleshooting, so hopefully there'll be no further trouble on that electrical for the meantime. And missing somebody here. Matt Browers, yeah. Good to hear you guys. Good to hear Browers is with us again tonight. And I'm going to turn it back to Ned before I burn everything else on this radio up here, running the little few ticks down out of level 4 out of 10 or something on the work 706 Smart 2G instead of my own. So happy to be here. I think I'm missing somebody, but I probably am. So we'll catch up next time through. Oh goodness! But everybody had a good first go here, I think. Matt, let me know what we're doing here. This is N9FSE, and don't forget to look for any other stations, because I've been throwing it out on other beers too, shaking the bushes. N9FSE.
All right, thank you, Steve and Roger, on that. It's probably my fault. I've been talking a lot. We're halfway through the net here, and we haven't got all the way through the list yet. So we'll definitely get to that. And fine business on the permanent station there. I wonder if one of these days I could come check that out. That's nearby and very interesting to me. And as far as speakers, I've got a speaker here that I was using as my large speaker in the station, and it does not work in here, and that's why I don't currently use it. I acquired this speaker probably 25 years ago. It's a RCA 12-inch hi-fi speaker. It's meant to be a part of a very large 1950s hi-fi stereo system. Or maybe probably early 1960s, I guess. It's like I think it's a front center speaker, and anyway, it's the only one I have for the set, and it's not in good condition anymore because I keep cramming it in places it doesn't fit down here. So if you need a big speaker for there, I think that this would probably work for you, and if you want, I could bring it over there. It would actually help me out because it's stashed in a spot here where it just doesn't fit, and it's in the way. I just have no good place to put this thing. And your signal is level 9 out of 10. Your modulation is impressive. Your signal varies on my meter all the way from 8 direct, from 8.0 I would call it, all the way to 9.1 maybe. And I don't see too many people with that much modulation, so your modulation, I would say, is excellent. It's hard to tell. You may be even overdriving a little bit, but it may just be the sound of your microphone plus the background noise there, so it's very possible you're not overmodulating. And with that, Joe, I hope you're still with us. It's been a long time waiting here. It's a full half hour for you. So, Joe, go ahead and take a turn.
All right, thanks. Wait wasn't bad at all. I guess on the topic of antennas, I've been building a Yagi antenna for television, since you really need a huge antenna like that for my area if you want to get television. Rabbit ears or those flat antennas don't work at all, because the nearest station is about 60 miles away, so that should be a fun project. I'm pretty excited to see how that's going to work. I guess other than that, school has started back up for me, at least. which has been very different this year. I also got a reel-to-reel from a family member. It's a 65 or 66 TX. I think it is a A1500W. And I had to get a new capstan belt for that, which I got, and it worked out pretty nicely. The only problem with that, though, is that I only have one reel, which is some kind of like bootleg Sound of Music soundtrack, which is deep, very beaten tape, doesn't sound very good at all. So I haven't really gotten a chance to use it all that much, and yeah, I guess other than that, I got a 3D printer, which has kind of been fun to mess around with. I've been making a lot of trinkets with it. Pretty basic one. Got it really cheap. It's a 2017 model, so it's not going to be very great at all. But it's helped out a little bit in the shop. I've built a couple things that have been helpful in my workshop with it. So, yeah, I guess that's that. I'll turn it back to you then.
All right, thank you, Joe, and fine business on all of that. I have not gotten into the 3D printer stuff at all. That's an aspect of manufacturing I have always felt I just don't have space for. And, of course, that's additive machining. I have my hands full with subtractive machining here. But someday I guess I'll have to do that. That's very useful. If you've got parts to make, that's a good way to make them. Excuse me. Now, I used to have a TEC A1500, just probably exactly like the one you have, and I may actually still have it, I'm not sure. That's a pretty common model, or at least was, and parts at least are easy to get for that. I have boxes and boxes of reels of tape here that I would gladly send to you. The problem is all of the ones that I have here are they're useless. In fact, they would be bad for your tape deck there. The tape has what is called sticky shed syndrome. The tape is coming off of the mylar backing. The magnetic portion is coming apart anyway, and if you wanted to retrieve the information off the tape one time, that would be okay, but to use them otherwise is a very bad thing. It will gum up the head in your tape transport and just make a big mess. Otherwise, like I say, I'd gladly send you a box of them, but you wouldn't want these. And unfortunately, I think that's the case with most of the tapes you'll find out there. I know that Radio Shack still has a good website. I don't know if they still sell open reel tape anymore. They always did right up until the end with their stores. And maybe if not, you can find that on eBay or someplace else. And fine business on the antenna. I'm not sure that a Yagi is appropriate for modern TV. The TV stations are even more spread out than they were in the past, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I know in the past we always used log periodic antennas, and maybe that's still appropriate. I'm not sure. Of course, if you have a handful of stations that you want to pick up and they're close to the same frequency range, a Yagi would still be appropriate. And of course, if you had two stations, two Yagis would certainly be appropriate. So I'm not exactly sure what you've got planned there. And with that, we're at the bottom of the list. Do we have any more check-ins for the 2 a.m. net? Come now, please. All right, and there's Dale recognizing AB9DW. Do we have anybody else?
This is Kilo Niner Oscar, Will.
All right, recognizing K900. Will, welcome to the net. Do we have anybody else? All right, there's a station there that is a little bit out of range for me. Steve, N9FSE, do you have a copy on that station?
Yeah, sure. That's Corey, WI9EMS. And maybe I should call out on the big stick here. Looking for more check-ins for the October 2020 session of the 2 a.m. net, N9FSE. You're no one else. Where are you at? N9FSE.
All right, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Steve. I hate to say it, it's going to get to a point here where it's going to make a lot more sense for you to be net control, I think, unless I can improve my antennas here. But anyway, recognizing WI9EMS, Corey. And with that, we'll go to Dale, AB9DW from KC9UDX.
Good evening, I'm Matt, AB9DW here. Not a whole lot going on radio-wise. School is keeping me pretty busy. And I know you guys are talking about a couple of new cars there, so congratulations on the new vehicles. Or at least moving new vehicles, if that's the case. And let's see what else is going on. We got a couple, since 2020, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. We had a couple of states of poor luck on our car. In the last couple of months, I've run into a couple of different things. And, it's just one of those things where, a set of circumstances happens that you don't anticipate it, and suddenly you've got a little bit of body damage. But it's all minor, no other people involved, and so on and so forth, so easy enough to fix. But, years and years and years I've driven and never had anything like this happen. Suddenly two things happen in the space of a couple of months. It's weird. Anyway, I'm going to send it back to net control because I know there's a lot of people on tonight, and we're kind of running out of time. So back to you, Matt, and thanks to you and to Steve and everybody else that's on the net this evening to keep us alive and going. Back to you, Matt, 89DW.
All right, thank you, Dale. And fine business on the car situation. I can certainly relate to that. These things, they sneak up on you when you're least expecting it. It's a very good test of your, oh boy, I can't think of the right word, so I'll not be a presidential candidate and stumble and say the wrong word here. I'll let it go at that. I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say. And I guess I could tell another car story here, but next we'll go to, I don't want to talk too long here. Next we'll go to Will, K900. Welcome to the net. This is certainly your first time here. I do not recognize your call sign at all, so I'll turn it over to you, Will, from KC9UDX.
Well, thank you, and thanks to the net. I was scanning through some of the repeaters and heard that you were having the net and thought I'd step in and say hi. A few of the call signs I recognize. I listen a lot, haven't talked a lot recently. I haven't been on the radio a little bit, but I am now quarantined to the basement thanks to my coworker who has COVID. So I'll be doing a lot of radio over the next week, and I'll look forward to more nets as they come along here. One question, if you can answer it when you get back on, is this a monthly or weekly AM net? And then I don't really have any stories. I'll listen out. I know there's lots of people still going, and it's nice to get on and listen to other people on the antenna on the roof. All right, back to net control. This is K900. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Will. And first I'll say that your signal and your audio is very impressive. I have a 0 to 10 meter rather than an S meter here, but you are a very good 9, and that's pretty good. And your audio is crystal clear, so fine business there. And we do this every month on the second Tuesday of the month. Unfortunately, my situation here makes it very difficult for me to do anything more than that. Otherwise, I think we're to the point where it would be worthwhile to do this every 2 weeks. So we'll see how this goes. Maybe we end up doing something like that. And again, welcome to the net. And next we have Corey, WI9EMS, a familiar call to me. Corey, it's been a long time. I've talked to you on repeaters in the distant past here. But I'll welcome you to the net. I don't believe you've ever checked into the net here before. Hopefully you can hear me okay, otherwise I'll have to turn this over to Steve. But WI9EMS from KC9UDX. You may want to call him. I don't hear anything either, but he probably can't hear me.
Sure thing. WI9EMS. WI9EMS. Hopefully he's not on the call. M9FSE with the 2 a.m. net. All right, we turn it over for your turn. So take it away. We'll see who can pick you out other than me. Thank you for checking in tonight. He said he was mostly monitoring. I got you S9 with the preamp on, but didn't have a chance to turn it off and see where you are. Usually you're going to be a fair bit less without the preamp on. Usually around S3 and such. Thanks for stopping in, though. I think we're going to have one of our near record nights of check-ins, but we'll see how we all turn out with all this. Back to that. This is M9FSE.
All right, thank you, Steve. And we have 9. That may be what the current record is. I guess I'd have to go back and look, but that seems like to me what it might be. We may have had 10. I guess I'll have to look one of these days. And Corey has a reasonable signal. He's 3 on my meter, but I suspect that his modulation is very low. I could barely hear him, but I think at a 3, where that's where Dale is, I think I should be able to hear him okay. So if you get a hold of Corey, or if maybe he watches the stream later or something, maybe he's watching the stream now, maybe he can make some adjustments to his modulation. With that, we're at the bottom of the list anymore, and I'll say this is going to be the last call here. Do we have any new check-ins at the last minute for the 2 a.m. net? Come now, please. All right, hearing none. I'll say a couple more things here, and then we're going to quickly go to the 7-3 round. I probably should just go, but I'll never get this out otherwise. I've got a new computer here, and that's helping out with what I'm doing with the streaming, sort of. It keeps crashing, unfortunately. This is a Pinebook Pro from a company called Pine 64. It's a very interesting thing. It's a hobbyist computer. You cannot run Windows. Well, I suppose you might be able to run Windows 10 sort of on this machine, but this is not your typical Intel Windows type of computer at all. It's more akin to a Raspberry Pi in a laptop, but it's a little bit more powerful than typical Raspberry Pi. It does have a 64-bit ARM processor in it, and I'm able to run a modern browser which can do the YouTube streaming stuff, but I do not have it hooked up for doing the streaming from the camera yet. I don't know if I'll attempt that. As long as I can keep eking out things with this Windows XP machine, I'll keep doing that. So I do control the streaming from the laptop, though. So if you're interested in hobbyist computers, I would definitely look into this. This computer costs around $200, but the point of it is it's a hobbyist machine, and it's only useful for hobbyists, and it does very good for that type of thing. So enough about that. My other car thing going on here is I'm going to try to rebuild or replace the transmission in my daily driver. I've been putting this off for a very long time, but just this last week I I pulled out the transmission, and now I've got to tear it apart and see if it's viable to rebuild or if should I replace it. I've been driving my wife's car for probably a little less than a year here, maybe a little more. It's hard for me to keep track of time, and I've got to stop doing that. So one of these days I'll be working on that. And otherwise, I've got other things I'd like to talk about here, but we will surely run out of time if I do. So, excuse me, I'll go to the top of the list. Frank, W9JCC, it's your turn on the 7-3 round.
Okay, thank you, Matt. And, a lot of things to talk about. Good to hear everybody, and a good turnout tonight. And, Steve, thanks, Steve, for taking care of running the big stick and giving us a little better coverage, especially on taking a net last time. I sympathize with Dave and his telescoping and math, and I've had similar things over here. But Steve, your audio is just plain loud. I guess Matt mentioned that it sounds quite strong, and it sounds real good. One thing I'm doing now, I got real serious about it today. I think I'm going to transition from deskjet inkjet type printers to a laser printer. My old inkjet printer is, I think the plastic gears are starting to get stripped, and it takes an awful long time and a lot of ratcheting to get its indexing properly and make a print. So I think it's going to go out on me pretty soon. And then I looked at new ones, and the ink prices on the inkjets are just out of sight. So we're probably going to go black and white here. Will, take care of yourself there with the quote. I don't think you got the quote, but I think you're getting there. So hopefully you don't have it. And Steve, thanks for doing the QSTs there. Brings out a lot of people. And I heard Corey, I think the first time, but he was very, very weak with me at my QTH. Signal reports, Matt 40/9, Dave 5/9, Jerry 10/9, Steve 35/9, Joe, of course, 40/9, Dale was 5 and 5, Will 40/9, and Corey I could have it here. So anyway, 73s, everybody, and we'll turn it back to net control, W9JCC.
All right, thank you, Frank, and I think you will really like the laser printer. I've been using them for a very, very long time now. You can, if you haven't bought one yet, you can get reasonably priced color laser printers. Just be aware that if you do a lot of printing, you're going to spend a little bit of money on toner cartridges if you go that route. The black and white ones tend to be a little more cost effective. And the other thing is that the color on a laser printer will never fully be as good as it is on an inkjet, but it is definitely passable for most things. Laserjet printers are certainly document printers, not photo printers, but for most uses people have for them, I think they're excellent. And I'll quit going on about that so we don't run out of time here. But Jerry K9FI, it's your turn on the 7-3 round.
Okay, guys. And hopefully you guys can hear me. My signal's not bouncing around too bad, hopefully. But I was going to say good evening to Dale and to Will. Will, I haven't talked to you in a long time. I know you live out in this neck of the woods. You're in Waukesha. And to Corey, I could not copy him at all. And of course, good evening to Steve. I have one comment for Steve. You talked about Ray's repeater. Is that Nick's friend Ray? If it is, I'd like to get his repeater frequency and his tone, and probably program it into my radio. because I know he used to do it on 440, I thought. But if it is next Grand Marie, I'd love to get his repeater frequency. Other than that, fund that as usual. And if you went to twice a month, it would be okay. That would be fine with me, Matt. I tried to do it. And I guess you guys stay safe and have a nice week. And I'm glad I remembered to do this because I made myself a great big large note because Mr. DeFebo mentioned it to me the other day on the net. That's what happens when you get old. You got people to look out for you. So you guys have a good week. It's nice to have everybody on the net tonight. K9R5.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Well, I'm just glad you made it here. It's always nice having you here. So, and next we'll go to Steve N9FSE. Well, before I tend to Steve, I'll make one comment here. What Frank was saying, I'm pretty positive I don't have COVID because this happens to me every year, and I don't have the other COVID symptoms. But one thing that scares me is if I get caught having a coughing fit at work, I'm going to be sent home for a week for COVID testing anyway. So we'll, I guess I'll deal with that as it comes. But that's a story on that. So Steve, N9FSE 7.3 round from KC9UDX.
Before I pick it up, did he check out, or is he, or did you skip him?
Oh, I apologize. I did skip him. I'll go straight to Dave, WB9BWP. Sorry about that, Dave. It's your turn on the 7.3 round.
Oh, that's okay. I usually talk a lot anyway, so that gets in the way of everything. Let's see if I can go real quick here. Oh yeah, I still have a real recorder. I've got a Pioneer RT707 that will be for sale as soon as I finish going through the tapes that I've got and making sure I have copies of all of that stuff. Otherwise, I have a couple of boxes full of, as I was told to say, pre-listened to tapes because they were stuff that I made. Anyway, let's see what else. Oh, and Steve, yeah, no problem on that. Yeah, I asked about the beam and the Comet mobile antenna. Plenty of time for any of that, and don't worry about that. And let's see. Oh, and Will was asking about nets and stuff, since he's going to be trapped in the basement. Well, Wednesday night, Steve got his swap net and propagation report and stuff over on 513 at 9 o'clock. And then Friday, MRAC at 9 o'clock, 14539. 10 meters at 28.490 if you've got HF. And if you have Fusion Radio Saturday night, 7 o'clock, 14539. And there's a bunch of others. But 73 to everybody out there. Hey, the net keeps growing. That's good. 73 to all. And with that, I'll turn it back to Net. This is WB9BWP.
All right, thank you, Dave. And again, I apologize for skipping you. I guess I shouldn't talk too much here, but I also have two reel-to-reel units that I use. Well, I shouldn't say regularly, but I do use them, and I've got probably a dozen other ones that are around here in different places, in different states of disrepair. So I can appreciate that. But then next we'll go to Steve N9FSE on the 7.3 round.
All right, there we go. This is N9FSE, just for Jerry. If I start right out of the box, get the questions answered. Rings on the same frequency he's always been out, and then it's further down in the city here. But now he's up on the hill, about a nice tower up there, 444.450, W9EFJ repeater. It's southeast Wisconsin's premier 11-meter repeater on UHF. And also like some of these other eclectic technology type stuff, so we're also monitor on the SDR, the antenna I'm using now usually listens to. So this morning I heard Sherm out this way. Yeah, we usually get the west side guys, but Sherm is out there every Tuesday on sideband on, what's their frequency? 140, 160, somewhere in there.